Hello, everybody. This is your hillbilly historian coming to you with the truth and history from the hills of East Tennessee, part of Appalachia. Now, folks, I want to talk to you about a man by the name of Viktor Kravchenko. Viktor Kravchenko, Russian. Before Boris Pasternak and Dr. Zhivago became a worldwide bestseller that the communists didn't want out there, and then was made into a great movie by David Lean. It was one of his great movies back in the 70s, 1970s. Great job with that movie. And before Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who published a book on the Gulag system that Russia employed to use slave labor to harvest natural resources and to build projects, statewide projects, national projects like canals and roads through Siberia, railroads through Siberia, major projects. They'd use slave labor, the Gulag system in Russia, and it would save having to pay anybody to do all that work. So they were terrible. But Viktor Kravchenko came before Boris Pasternak and Alexander Solzhenitsyn in exposing the pure evil of the Russian Empire. He was a trained engineer back in the 1930s and 40s, went through World War II, worked for the Russian government during World War II, survived, came to the United States after World War II, and he defected to the United States. And he wrote a book about his experience in Russia, became an international bestseller. The title of that book was I Chose Freedom. I got a copy I purchased a copy on ABE Books, which is a real good source for books at a reasonable price. Kravchenko wrote this book, became an international bestseller. I bought a copy of it, and I gave my copy to the Scott County Historical Society over in Huntsville, Tennessee. I don't know what they did with it. I also gave them the first paperback publication of Audie Murphy's To Hell and Back. They have that under a glass case, and they should have Viktor Kravchenko's I Chose Freedom under a glass case, because that's one of the greatest books ever written, exposing the pure evil, the famines, the purges, the murders that were committed in Russia on behalf of socialism, the socialist state. Socialism is pure evil. Kravchenko exposed this in his great international bestseller. The Communist Party in Paris, France, sued Kravchenko, and that was a big, well broadcasted legal case. They tried to use lawfare against Kravchenko, and he won. He won that really famous trial back in the early 50s. An amazing man, Viktor Kravchenko. The Russians tried to kill him, just like they did Tolstoy. I think they finally murdered Tolstoy in Mexico City during World War II. And Tolstoy was opposed to Stalinism. He called it Stalinism instead of communism. But hey, it's all one and the same. It's all bad. Uh, Socialism in the 20th century alone cost the lives of over 250 million people worldwide. It's an amazingly cruel, insensitive form of government. In fact, some historians refer to socialism as the new feudalism. You know, under feudalism, the kings owned everything and everybody else were servants under the king. Same thing in socialism. The dictator, everybody's a servant to the dictator. You don't own nothing. The king owns everything. The dictator owns everything. State owns everything. You have nothing. And that's socialism. It's pure evil, cruel and evil. And it allows evil men to rise to the top and take over. And so it's has no responsible agency that can expose them for what they are. And that's what makes men like Viktor Kravchenko, men like Boris Pasternak, men like Alexander Solzhenitsyn. That's what makes them so great, because they rise above the cruelty and evil, and they expose it for what it truly is. And Viktor Kravchenko, he should be honored much more than he is, because he was one of the first people to come out and really expose communism, socialism in Russia for what it really was. The truth. The good, honest truth that men put out there. And they should be, a man like Victor should be rewarded and honored forever. And you should get a copy of that book. I chose Freedom and read it. It's really good reading. And it's an amazing story about an amazing man. But anyway, this is your hillbilly historian from the hills of East Tennessee and Appalachia, trying to inform you on the truth and honesty of what really goes on in this world. Thank you so much for your time today.